days when the Dukes weren't hazardous. She's only 17, made us curious. It was a carefree time. How about we jump back and rewind? We were living on Winger and a prayer, just garbage pail kids with mullets and big hair. Let's open up another pack. Gen X wants their future back. Break out the denim jackets with faded band patches. Share memories, Polaroid captured. It's the Gen X marks the spot podcast.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Gen X Marks the Spot podcast. I am your host, Gen X Joe, and we are in the Wherever I May Roam studio. I hope your amps are up because my mic is on. I am fired up for today's guest, Mike Krompass. If you don't know who Mike is, well, I'm not going to say shame on you, but he is one of the most accomplished names in the music industry. He's a producer, a songwriter, mixer, engineer, multi-instrumentalist, a programmer, and he even owns his own record company. He has worked with some of the biggest Billboard charting artists and hits you have ever heard, with the likes of Meghan Trainor, Kelsey Ballerina, Steven Tyler. Also, his music has been featured in hundreds of major motion picture soundtracks, television shows that have been syndicated worldwide. Mike has started his career as a live session guitar player, performing alongside Nelly Furtado and even Elton John. He's also served as music director, guitar player for David Archuleta, Demi Lovato, and Smash Mouth, one of my favorite bands out of the 90s. But really, we are not here today to talk about all of his accomplishments. We could, but it would be hours. What we're here to talk about today is his new band called The Fell. Mike has teamed up with powerhouse vocalist Toby Rand and a man who has been voted Best Rock Bass Player 5 times in Guitar Player magazine. Just to give you a little hint, this guy has played alongside David Lee Roth himself and was pretty successful in a couple other bands, Mr. Big and the Winery Dogs. I think you know who I'm talking about. The one, the only, Billy Sheehan. But here's the really cool part about how Mike DM'd Billy Sheehan about a project which would become The Fail he was putting together. And well, he didn't even know if Billy would respond, but he did. And now the rest is history. Hopefully you've already heard some of The Fail's music. They have their latest EP out called Kill Switch. And if you haven't checked that out yet, they have a new song on the EP that they've released called Footprints. Mike and the band, they are out promoting that EP right now with a handful of tour dates. And Pittsburgh, yeah, right where I'm from, is lucky enough to be on that list of dates. The Fail is going to be at the Craft House on March 26th, coming up next week. It's a show you don't want to miss. How often do you get a world-renowned vocalist, a famous producer, and quite possibly the greatest bass player to ever live in Billy Sheehan here in a private setting almost at the Craft House? And if you've been at the Craft House, you know what I mean. I've talked enough. Let's just fall into the interview with Mike Krompass of The Fell.
So, Mike, The Fell, from what I understand, it came together in a pretty unconventional way. Tell me about the Facebook message that turned into this super group.
It's a famous story. So yeah, I was producing a ton of pop records at the time, and I was going through this phase, I guess, in my own career where I wanted to do something that was more me, that was like, I didn't expect it to do anything. It was like, maybe I'll make an instrumental record, maybe I'll do a guitar wank record, and just so I got to play, and it could be rock mixed with whatever I wanted it to be with no rules. And then I thought, okay, so if you could have a dream team, who would you have? Well, naturally, for a rock project, you'd want Billy Sheehan on your record. So I sent Billy over a message saying, hey, man, you don't know me, but we're Facebook mutual friends, and we have 1 billion friends in common, and I have this project, and I want to know if you want to play bass on it. And he's like, yeah, man, I want to hear it, yeah. So the next day, I believe it was the next day, he comes to the studio and he shows up with his bass. He's like, what are we doing? So I play him the part of this first song, and we get about 30 seconds into the song, and he stops me. He's like, so what do you want to do with this, man? And I'm thinking, oh my God, he hates this. And I'm like, I don't know. What do you want to do? He's like, you want to start a band? And then kind of went from there. It's like, I know this great singer, Toby Rand, that I was working with in Excess band at the time. And it just so happened that he and I were writing together. We started writing these songs, and then it was born into this thing. And unfortunately, we had to press pause on it for a bit. Toby had some contractual obligations, and we couldn't go out like we wanted to with a bang at the time. So we kind of parked it for a bit, and here we are 10 years later now, ready to go with a full album and the EP out and tour dates. Everything kind of had to fall into place too. It conveniently, Billy had wrapped up with Mr. Big and Winery Dogs, and Toby had some free time. So I think it was just the timing was just right. Everyone was excited about it, and we wrote new tunes, and all of a sudden now it's the priority project, and we're all going hard on it. And we're going to tour the EP, and then we're going to hold off on the album until we start doing like serious tour dates, and make sure that we can promote it properly and get out and tour it properly. So yeah, we were initially going to release the album a bit sooner, but I think we're writing some really great songs and swapping out some other ones. So I think it's better just to wait and have the best album that we put out.
Well, you would know because you have a great career behind you working with all type of genres of music.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate to have a day job as a producer, and I think it's benefited the band totally. We get to make records for, I won't say for free, but almost for free.
So, but with your production background, and like I said, it spans all type of genres, everything from pop to country. How do you make sure that band sound stays rooted in rock?
I think it just naturally stays that way. I have a tendency to kind of go in a rock direction, even if I'm doing country stuff or whatever. It's just my background and what I grew up with. And then, naturally, this is a guitar and drum heavy kind of band anyway. So when we write, it tends to go that way. And I just kind of produce in that genre. So, Billy has a sound. Everyone kind of in the band has a sound. Toby, when he sings, it's genuinely rock. I can't help but being a rock guitar player. And Nick is definitely, he brings the massiveness on the drums too.
You guys are going out on the road, as you mentioned earlier. What is it going to be like? What's it going to feel like for those who have not seen the Fell live?
To get the faces melted. I mean, it's gonna be loud. It's gonna be raw. I mean, we will have a keyboard player on the road too, because some of the stuff is, it's a little modern rock leaning. So there are some keyboard stuff on there and some program stuff. But it's gonna be raw and really loud bass, guitar, and drums with some modern elements. A lot of rock bands just plow through, and they do it amazingly. But we're going to try as much as possible to make it a show and have some interludes and things like that. And I'm feeling really, really good about how it's going to come across.
Other than peeling the face off of everybody in the crowd, what do you want people to walk away feeling after they've heard the Fell? Maybe if it's their first time.
I mean, I just want them to love the band and tell some friends and spread the word. And if, they like it, share it, listen to it, stream it, do all of those things. I want them to come away just having a great time. I mean, that's the most important thing. If they like the music, they like the vibe. Toby's an incredible front person, so I don't think I've ever seen Toby do a show that people aren't walking away with without that holy shit factor. He's an incredible fun person.
You know, he seems to just to kind of fit in everywhere he's been.
Yeah, he's so versatile. Like he's a chameleon. Everything that guy does just is great.
Now, as for you, being a producer, what's the hardest part of being a producer that people who may be on the outside looking in don't fully understand or appreciate?
I think it's just like, well, I guess knowing what goes on with creating songs and the little intricacies of how do you get certain sounds and the work that's required behind the scenes to make things sound good. These days there's AI that can just automatically spit stuff out and it sounds great, but the real artistic albums are really hard to create, and those things like go unnoticed a lot of the time. I think a lot of the creators of those albums, besides the artists that are on them and some of the technical people that are behind those albums, get lost in the mix sometimes.
You know, I don't even want to get into the whole AI thing, man. You know, I would rather have someone like you and a real musician any day of the week.
Yeah, I mean, me too. But I would have to say, look, it's coming, and there's nothing we can do about it. So it's we either embrace it and find a way to work with it, or we get lost. It's like when people started first switching over to like Pro Tools from tape, everyone was like, "Oh no, computer music. It's going to be computer music." But I think if it's used where it's a tool, a creative tool, like like using a drum machine or like some program loop or something, I think as a tool, it's really cool. It's a really fast way to get ideas across. It's great for like coming up with little synth lines, and then like create it with humans. You know what I mean? I think it's just really great to have as that. But when you start replacing humans with it, that's when it gets scary for me. That's when I'm kind of not into it.
Well, speaking of the human aspect, I don't think AI could do this, but I'm sure you could shed some light. How do you handle any creative differences in the studio when your instinct as a producer conflicts directly with what the artist may want?
You just tell them to shut up. No, just kidding. I mean, that's going to happen all the time. People butt heads, and if you can creatively, work it out and everyone express their views and the pros and cons of it, usually there's something that gets resolved. But sometimes a producer, that's a producer's role to make an executive decision on what they think is the best thing for the song. There's always going to be those, hard-headed, opponents, but typically, when you hire a producer, that's what you're hiring them for, to have the knowledge and the wherewithal to kind of make those executive decisions when things gets tough. But, and here's the thing, not all producers are right. Like, I've been wrong a billion times, and I don't think it's art, it's subjective, so it could go any way. So as long as you find a way to work out those creative differences, I think it ends up being all good.
Quickly jumping back to the Fail. As the founder of the Fail, do you feel like a different kind of pressure or ownership with this project compared to the work you've done with other artists?
Yeah, 100%. Like with, I'm way more critical on myself and my own playing. You know, it's kind of like when it's your own project, you might overanalyze things a little bit. But I think the good thing about this is it's rock and roll. So at the end of the day, you don't want to overthink it too much. But yeah, as far as my own playing goes, I'm a bit more critical on it. But as far as the songs go, no, I think they come out naturally, and the songs are the songs, and they kind of write themselves. But yeah, there's always that moment of like, oh, this is your own passion project, so there's a different kind of attachment to it.
Like you said, been 10 years in the making, so it's definitely a passion project that I would imagine you're putting your heart and your soul into.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like, it's timing. We did it really fast when it first came out, and unfortunately we weren't able to release it and tour it properly. But we've had some time to kind of reflect on it, and all of us, in the back of our minds are like, we need to get this out. And, Billy wrapped up with Mr. Big and Winery and Toby became more available. So I think the timing was just right. And now we've had time to reflect on those songs and revisit them. But the core of them is still the same thing. But yeah, it's good timing for us, that's for sure.
Again, you wear so many hats. You were talking about, you kind of put a little bit more pressure on yourself. I mean, you're a guitarist, a producer, songwriter, label head, band leader. Which role feels most like home to you? And which one challenges you the most, whether it's with working with other artists or just with the Fell?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think they're all challenging. I mean, naturally playing guitar feels very natural to me. But when you're playing up alongside guys like Billy Sheehan, you need to step up your game. So, you're a bit hypercritical because it's also been a while since I've been out touring and playing, this kind of stuff that I love to play so much. When you're playing with pop acts, you don't get to pull out those chops in the same way. So you kind of lose a little bit of that. And sitting in the studio too, I have to admit I haven't been practicing every day like to practice, and now I'm like getting back into that, going back to my roots and practicing again, which feels good. As far as like wearing the different hats, and they're all challenging. Being a producer has its own challenges, and being in a band and kind of owning a band has its own challenges, and that's why it's great to have management and other people kind of delegate roles to. And the label stuff is hard too. I don't think one's harder than the other. I mean, I guess it's easier just to be in a band and just play, than have to worry about, all the business stuff. So I guess the business stuff is a bit more stressful, and that's where kind of like, things become a bit more difficult rather than just, when you're in the room and you're playing and you're being creative, everything seems easy. It's when you get into logistics and the business aspect of things that are a bit more stressful, I think.
So, with all the genres you have worked with, what's one record by anyone in any genre that you wish you produced?
That's like that's an impossible question, but I'll try my best to answer it. So, any Beatles record. I mean, 100%. Any Beatles record, I wish I produced. Thriller, I wish I produced that album. Man, there's not just one, but I don't know, Prince records.
Yeah, all good choices.
I don't know, it's just all, big production, big talent on those records. It's all great stuff. I can't answer it.
Well, you did good. I probably would have chose what you chose as well. Beatles, Thriller, the songs of my youth. I'm a little young for the Beatles, but hey, I love the Beatles.
Yeah, me too. I mean, my parents played Beatles records all the time, and so I naturally have that influence. But and going back now, listening to those records, it's incredible the production quality and what they had to work with compared to now, and they still sound incredible. Those albums are ridiculously good.
Now, before we wrap up here in a few minutes, I have a couple questions I want to throw out at you. What was it like working with Smash Mouth?
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. They have some really great songs. I mean, look, I could tell you that band makes Motley Crue look like Disneyland, though. And unfortunately, Steve passed away.
Yeah.
Demons got the better of him, and it was really sad to watch him struggle with those addictions. But it was so much fun, and I learned a lot being with that band, and I was fortunate to produce records and write songs with them, and yeah, I had a blast. And some of the greatest guys in that band, like the drummer Randy Cook, one of my best friends, and he was actually the original drummer in the Fell.
Wow.
Yeah, and so he's still playing with the guys, and we just always had a great time. It was a blast.
I don't know if you're able to even come up with an answer for this, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway at you. Does Billy Sheehan ever age?
No, I don't know. That guy is like, he plays like he's 20 still. You think as you start to age, your fingers start to like seize up a bit. I know mine they'll move the way they did when I was younger. He's just incredible, and his spirit is so young, his energy is so young, and he lives to play. And he has this thing all the time, and I'm probably going to fuck this up, but he's like, I live to play and I play to live. I've heard him say that in interviews before, and it's like, it's so true. That guy is so musical and such a great guy to play with and learn from too. He's like, I was a massive Mr. Big fan, big David Lee Roth fan, and I was a big fan of all of his stuff growing up. So having him, be in a band with me is like, I have to pinch myself half the time. The guy does not age. He does not age. He looks the same.
Yeah, absolutely. That was my follow-up with that. His playing, his looks, I mean, it's remarkable.
Man, I hope when I'm, a little bit older that I can retain some of that stuff, but I don't know that I'm going to be that lucky.
Yeah.
Age is such a scary thing, especially in the music business.
Yeah, we're losing some of our legends, unfortunately, and that hurts, man. That really hurts.
For sure.
Now, finally, for anyone listening and who wants to follow your journey as well as the Fell, where's the best place they can find you at?
So the best place, I think our Instagram is @thefellmusic, which is our Facebook is matching that. So you can hit us up there and message us there. And then my personal is @Mike K Hits, MikeKhitv on Instagram, and it's my name, I think, or Mike K Music on Facebook, Mike Krompass. You can flip into my DMs there, send me messages. Love to hear from people.
Yeah, man, thanks for sharing all that information.
Thanks so much.
And just a quick review, March 26th here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I can't wait. This whole tour has been a long time coming, so we're super excited about hitting that. And I'm really looking forward to it. And hopefully we'll get to hang if you come to the show.
Well, I'll tell you, and I appreciate that, but I'll tell you, though, I don't want my face melted off, though.
Okay, well, maybe we'll have to put you behind the amp.
There you go. Yeah, these looks are bad anyway, so I don't need it melted off. Or though it could help, who knows? So I appreciate your time here on the Gen X Marks the Spot podcast. I am wishing you guys nothing but the best of luck on this tour with the EP. And I know there's not really a time frame for the full-length album to come out. Fingers crossed it will be this year, though.
Yeah, we're really hoping it's going to be this year. I think we just want to line it properly. We want to get out there, do a bunch of dates, and we want to have an audience that's ready for the full album. And the album's really close to being done. We'll be playing a lot of the album, so people will get sneak peeks of what the album is. I think we're probably pretty close to going to play the whole album live. So people will get a preview of it for sure.
Well, there you have it, right there. And they hear some of those songs for the first time. They'll be ready for round 2 when you guys come back after the full-length album.
Right on. We can't wait.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Take care.
All right. Pittsburgh, you heard it from Mike. If you show up at the Craft House to see the Fell on March 26th, your face will be melted off. Like I said, that might be a blessing for me. I don't know. I'm sure we're all going to be able to handle that heat that the Fell is bringing to the show. Now, I don't know why. Mike has accomplished so many things in his career, and now he's got the Fell, but I'm still loving that he was a part of Smash Mouth, one of my favorite bands. Now, that's totally kick-ass. One thing I wanted to say also about the Fell and their music, if you haven't heard it, it's kind of a blend of heavy, melodic, and contemporary hard rock. It kind of just hits you right in the chest, and it stays with you. So go grab their latest EP, Kill Switch. You can also pick it up on March 26th at the Craft House if you don't want to order it online. And please, please make sure you check out Footprints because it is a must song to hear and or download. I just want to thank Mike for a great interview. It was awesome talking with him. And when their new full-length album finally comes out, hopefully later this year, Mike and I can sit down and have another chat. All right, everyone. This is Gen X Joe. Rock loud, live proud. Peace out, everyone. Props for listening to the Gen X Marks the Spot podcast.
The Gen X Marks the Spot podcast.